Well, a very potent spring storm is taking aim at Minnesota. We're going to see all kinds of weather, from severe thunderstorms, the first ones of the season, to blizzard conditions in western Minnesota. Big drop in temperatures. Temperatures go back up, and then we're talking about the potential for some heavy snow, even in southern Minnesota, maybe next week. Pretty incredible warmth today, mid 70s across southern Minnesota. Yeah, this is not normal. In fact, several ways it's not normal. We'll talk about potential record highs for much of central and southern Minnesota today. It looks like Brainerd, Fargo-Moorhead areas, St. Cloud, Twin Cities, Rochester, La Crosse, Eau Claire, all could break daily records. But what's almost more interesting or kind of frightening about that is the record high is 73, set back in 2012, which was by far the warmest March we've ever had. That was a year we hit 80 degrees on St. Patrick's Day, earliest ever 80-degree reading. But if we hit 75, which is entirely possible today, that's the earliest we've ever hit 75 degrees in a season. So this is the warmest it's ever been this early. And a little reminder, rapid attribution study. This is a statistical analysis from Climate Central. Today's temperatures made 3 to 4 times more likely due to climate change. And of course, that's all going to play into this storm system. Unusual severe weather this early in the season. We've got marginal risk through the Twin Cities, but southern Minnesota, including Rochester, Albert Lee, we're looking at a slight risk of severe weather, level 2 out of 5. And that is unusual, yes, for the middle of March. So let's break down some of what we're expecting later today as far as the thunderstorm potential, which is sort of part one of the storm system. Well, one could argue that part one already happened in northeastern Minnesota. Not severe weather, but they had thunderstorms earlier this morning. That's what you're seeing to my right or left. This is all mirrored, so it's confusing. But yeah, garden variety thunderstorms where they still have some deep snowpack. The only place really left is into the Arrowhead. But yeah, we're seeing an incredible storm system here. The pressure center continues to drop in this system, now centered over the western part of Kansas, 980 millibars. We talked about yesterday that we're going to be just outside of record territory for March low pressure, which is going to be about a few millibars only less than what this storm system is forecast to be. But already seeing some thunderstorms erupting here in northeastern Kansas into Missouri. And that's going to be the area to watch through the day today. That's going to fill in more across Iowa. And all of that, as you can already see, is lifting to the northeast. So we are expecting some nasty weather potentially heading into the afternoon, late afternoon, evening hours in Iowa, but more the late evening hours for us here in the southern part of the state. So let's take a look at what's going on here in the models right now. This is the latest high resolution rapid refresh model. Pretty quiet here. This is 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. you can start to see those thunderstorms coming in out of northwest Iowa. Here's 7 p.m. down around Worthington, thunderstorms around Marshall, and then the main line, whatever holds together, will be starting to move into southern Minnesota, Faribault, the southern metro here, and then kind of just a blob of showers and thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours. And then look to the west too. Freezing rain, Morris to Fergus Falls, Detroit Lakes, up through Roseau and Warroad. In fact, we could see some ice accumulation in those areas. Let's just take a look at the latest high resolution rapid refresh model. The HER is what I will call it for short. It's a lot easier than saying it the whole time. But yeah, this is giving 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice in western and northwestern Minnesota. So that is nasty. But want to concentrate on the severe threat because, as I mentioned, we have that slight risk for the southern part of the state. And our severe parameters are not particularly impressive by summer standards, but for mid-March in Minnesota, yeah. Here's the convective available potential energy, basically the juice available for thunderstorms. It's a measure of instability. This is unusual for March 14th, but as we talked about, so are the temperatures today. So is the entire setup today. We're talking about 1,500 joules of energy, kilojoules per kilogram of energy available for this system. But that all fades pretty quickly here once we head towards 9-10 p.m., as you can see. So we're going to have a very narrow window for potential severe weather. When we look at the significant tornado parameter, again, not particularly impressive, but the fact that we're even able to display anything in March is pretty incredible. It's really going to be more to our south. where we have the greatest tornado threat. You can see this is Missouri, Arkansas into Illinois. That's why we've got the moderate risk in those areas. I'll put on the wider view of the SPC outlook for today. And you can see that moderate risk, which is a substantial risk, level 3 out of 5 here, 4 out of 5 across southern Iowa, eastern Missouri into much of central and southern Illinois. That's going to be the area that's really the focal point for that activity, because that's where all the parameters come in. We have the best shear plus instability across those areas to the south. So we're really looking at what storms can hold together into southern Minnesota. So that means primarily a large hail and damaging wind threat potentially. So as I mentioned, here are those storms that are already starting to pop right now in parts of Kansas and Missouri, but that area will fill in. There's again 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10, 11, 12. And so, yeah, we're dealing really with leftovers here, but I do want to put on some of the latest wind gusts from this particular model to see what those latest wind gusts are showing. So you can see some severe wind gusts. That's basically the orange and red areas in Iowa. And then it really sort of fizzles out for the most part into southern Minnesota. We're still, though, looking at potentially some of those leftover storms producing some wind gusts here of, there's a 69 mile an hour wind gust, not far from the Rochester area. Again, this is just a model scenario, so don't pay attention to the specific spot, but it's showing that there is that potential that some of those storms that are left could produce some high winds. Another thing we look at, basically updraft tracks, officially updraft helicity tracks. But this shows us where the most severe storms are with those big updrafts. And you can see most of those are staying really in Iowa, Missouri, Illinois. Again, this is really nasty looking, actually. This shows that there are several long track supercells potentially developing this evening from Missouri into Illinois. So again, we are looking at being on the northern periphery of that threat. Whatever storms hold together could potentially become an issue for us. The other thing we're going to be dealing with, though, is the wintry weather on the other side of all this. Put back on the simulated reflectivity. So again, here's midnight tonight. Rain, thunderstorms. We kind of get dry slotted into the morning hours tomorrow. I'm going to put on the earlier model run, which goes out farther in time. So, here's 6 a.m. tomorrow. Not much happening here. Maybe a batch of showers along the southeastern part of the state. But look how quickly we go from rain to freezing rain and sleet in western Minnesota, and then it turns to heavy snow across the western part of the state. But by the time cold air wraps in for us, you can see that most of that is heading off to the north. So there isn't going to be much left as far as snow for us. So we'll probably see snow showers in the Twin Cities, but really the heavy snow is going to stay to the west. Now this is the HRRR, that high resolution rapid refresh models forecast scenario for snowfall. Might be a little high. This is the 10-to-1 ratio, the Kuchera, which is trying to account for the different ratios based on temperatures, is a little higher, but probably not particularly accurate, because even western Minnesota, it's going to be very warm, so there's going to be a lot of compacting and melting to begin. So we look at this positive snow depth change, which is a little more realistic, and that shows still a narrow area of 6 to 8 inches of snow. And the Weather Service kind of lining up with that. This is the Weather Service's forecast a little further west. The HRRR is going a little farther east. European model, a little farther east. American model, a little farther east. So the Weather Service might be adjusting their forecast a little farther east too. When we look at the weighted average of the models, it is kind of in between the Weather Service forecast and what some of those models were showing. But either way, you see the Twin Cities, we really don't get much, even northeastern Minnesota. So it's going to be that narrow area to the west that gets cold enough air while there is still some moisture around. So we start, with temperatures in the 70s, of course, but then here's that front. You can see it. This is 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So if you're up early tomorrow, 50 degrees to start in the Twin Cities, while it's in the 20s in western Minnesota. So obviously snowing there. But again, by the time we're cold enough for snow, which isn't until probably 2 or 3 p.m., a lot of that moisture is off to the north and west. So we'll overlay, these are the temperatures. So 2 p.m. when it's cold enough to snow here, and then where's the moisture? Yeah, off to the north. So that's why we're not looking at much as far as snowfall here. But again, the big threat today is the potential for severe weather, again, mostly to the south, But the southern part of the state, we could be looking at leftover storms that hold together. So anywhere in yellow, that slight risk. Again, mostly south of the Twin Cities, could see some leftover strong storms that produce high wind gusts. We're talking over 60 miles an hour, maybe some large hail, 1 inch or larger, ping pong size hail or bigger. And then the marginal risk for the rest of us in central Minnesota, including the Twin Cities, where we're expecting primarily just garden variety showers and thunderstorms. But again, maybe one of those could hold together into the South Metro and produce some brief severe weather, but that's primarily what we're looking at there. Of course, behind this system comes some colder air. Temperatures will fall through Saturday already, but Sunday just around 40 for a high, but that's actually closer to normal. The normal high Sunday is about 41, 42 degrees. Colder to the north, but rebounding rapidly here. Monday, low 60s for highs, again in the Twin Cities. Much colder to the north, though. This is not going to last very long either. Tuesday will be fairly mild, but then we're talking about already the next storm, just a few days after this one. And now it's looking increasingly likely that we could be dealing with a heavy swath of snow somewhere in the region. Right now, a majority of the models painting that heavy snow swath over southern Minnesota, including the Twin Cities. So this is a blend of the models, a weighted average, so to speak. So 4, 5, 6 inches possible Tuesday night into Wednesday out of that. But there are some models, like the American model, that are going even higher. Yeah. Now, don't get too excited or dreading these specific numbers. This is almost certainly going to change. But just to give you an idea of the whiplash, weather whiplash we're going to be dealing with here over the next several days. Pretty incredible. So yeah, warm today, falling temperatures tomorrow. We've got that severe weather, rain turning to a little snow, sunshine Sunday, Monday. Major roller coaster of temperatures, but yeah, all eyes will be focused on the Tuesday night, Wednesday system after we get past this weekend. So spring in Minnesota, even crazier than normal this year.